There are none.
Okay, great. With that, we'll turn it over to Sheriff Barry Riley.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm sure you're aware we had a busy day yesterday. Proud to say we have somebody in jail from a double shooting that took place just north of Waynesville. This was a targeted attack. We have learned that, so unfortunately we had 2 victims in the deal who were absolutely unrelated, and the second victim was collateral in this targeted attack. So great cop work yesterday, long day, but bad guy sitting in jail. But that's not why I'm here, so just giving you an update on that. Before you have a resolution to allow me to sign a contract or a memorandum of agreement with ICE to enter into a 287G task force model, for as long as I've been in office, which we know is a very short time, I've been working with ICE and trying to better understand their methods and operations. My motto has always been, if you're in this country illegally, you should be sought out, detained, treated humanely, processed according to the law, and if applicable, returned to your home country. Treated humanely is something that is very important to me. I think you all know me well enough to know that people are my business, and I'm responsible. I feel a responsibility for them. So entering into this agreement would allow us the ability to be embedded with ICE to understand their mission. We have, of course, several months ago, been labeled a sanctuary county, and through numerous phone calls and trying to understand that, ICE recanted that. We have been good partners with them. Having our deputy sheriffs with the knowledge of what is taking place in our county when ICE comes to our county is what I'm after. And you allowing me to sign this will allow us to have the training to ensure that these people that I feel responsible for, am responsible for, are being treated humanely and processed according to the law.
What happens if we don't sign this?
If we don't sign this, ICE hopefully will give us a heads up when they're coming into the county to operate, hopefully. If they have the ability to. I don't fully understand what they would be doing operating in our county without giving us the knowledge, but I guess that's a possibility. So,
I mean, I guess this isn't our or your responsibility, right?
I believe it is.
And,
I absolutely believe it is.
well, to explain to me why you think this is your responsibility.
So I'm charged statutorily with keeping the peace in the county, and that is also holding all officials to the law enforcement officials to the mission of the Constitution. When I swore that oath, and I swore it one time, that oath was to the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution and laws of the state of Ohio. So I firmly believe it is.
Well, but it's not your responsibility to be involved in immigration issues, right? I mean, that's the responsibility of the federal law. That's federal law, federal government, that's federal law.
It is, but federal law oftentimes bleeds over into state law.
Well, I would say that perhaps maybe that happens too frequently.
I cannot disagree.
Here's my concern. I understand the heart with which you approach this, and I don't dispute that in any way, shape, or form. But you know, in the first instance, very concerned about us taking on federal responsibilities from a budgetary standpoint. We ought not be doing that, and we ought to restrict our roles to what we're required to do here under the Ohio Revised Code. Regardless of whether it's law enforcement or other things, I you know, subscribe to that point of view. But, you know, I am deeply troubled by this particular case in our area with this, the chaplain at Cincinnati Children's Hospital who was illegally detained in the Butler County Jail for 72 days by ICE, who had papers on his first day being here and on his last day of detainment was
Sure.
legally here for decades. I would be heartbroken if we had any role to play in that kind of detainment. So, you know, ICE is responsible for ICE, and they bear the repercussions of how they are handling their operations. I don't want to be a party to, notwithstanding my views about illegal immigration, which I agree with you, I don't want anybody sitting in our jail for 72 days away from their family, incarcerated on.
This is not that. We are not housing those inmates. This is not an arrest for this and bring them to our jail. We would take them to a federal detention facility. And it gives us the opportunity to ensure that those bookends that you were describing, ICE here, are being done correctly for those people, treated humanely, processed according to the law. I have 9 people that are held in our jail right now with ICE detainers, but I put out a directive very early on in my tenure that they will not go, or we will not honor that ICE detainer until all pending criminal charges in our county are done. I have a gentleman that is in our jail for failure to comply ×3, $40,000 cash or surety, local charges. He also has an ICE detainer. I have a gentleman in our jail with tampering with evidence, F3, theft, F5, possession of criminal tools, F5, falsification and obstructing. He has an ICE detainer. He will not leave until his criminal charges are done. I have another gentleman who is here for receiving stolen property, possession of criminal tools, failure to comply, which is running from the law. He has an ICE detainer. He will not leave until his criminal charges are done.
So what you're saying is you've got charges on
Absolutely.
they just happen to have this
Absolutely.
other ICE charge on them, and once our local law enforcement and the judicial system runs its course, then those inmates will be transferred to a federal
That is correct.
a federal facility.
That is correct.
And so I guess I'm just trying to understand from your point of view. I mean, I hear you, I hear what you're saying. What is it that you're trying to protect the public from?
I'm trying to protect the public from over-government reach in the fact that if we have somebody operating in our county, I want to know about it. I deserve to know about it. And I deserve to know that it is being done correctly. And that's what this will do. They've not come to our county yet. But when they do, I want to be there as the partners that are informed, educated, trained, and as good as they are.
Well, based on some of the reports,
Okay, we're going to go with better than that.
I think you're.
How about that?
Well, you know, I think your standard's pretty high.
It is.
And so
My standard is
I
very
would,
Yes.
yeah.
There is an out clause in this. I will report back to you as often as you want. If it is not living up to your expectations, we will get out of this. Right now, I feel strongly that it is the right thing to do. We finally have our base set, which is something that I've been holding on to for so long. We've hired over almost 40 people since taking office. I don't have a job to give away today, so our base is set. It is time to ensure we're doing everything we can to protect this public.
So your suggestion is, without disagreement, that ICE could choose not to inform you or the county that they're in here, and that you're wanting to be informed when and if they come into the county?
When?
And so well, do you have knowledge of it then?
I don't.
You don't?
I don't.
which is the purpose of you wanting this. So
100%.
you don't know if they'll be here, but when and if.
100%. There's some great ICE agents that work in this area, and they have a tough job. But I've seen what could happen when things move too quickly and we were improperly labeled as a sanctuary county. I seen it firsthand. I lived it. You all felt it as well. And my job is to be informed, to keep you informed. And that's what the purpose is.
I guess I don't understand what the harm was in being labeled a sanctuary county. Like, I didn't, you know, we aren't a sanctuary county. We often get confused with the city of Warren, Ohio, up in Northeast Ohio. And so that was a mistake. You have a different perspective than I do because you're, you know, because of the particular role you have. Can you explain to me what it is that what you mean? Was there some activity then that occurred in the general public that we weren't aware of because of that?
I don't know if there was activity that occurred short of, you know, my phone ringing off the hook and
Yeah, I
people
mean, I know
understand.
constituents would be concerned
Trying to
about that. I
understand,
mean,
sure.
and that I understand,
Sure.
but that could have still happened even with this agreement. It was clearly a paperwork mistake.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, so that could have still happened here, but
Absolutely.
you aren't alluding that there was some sort of criminal activity
No,
or
not at all.
enforcement activity
Not at all.
that was
Absolutely.
stepped up as a result of
No,
that?
not at all. Absolutely, no. ICE has been, and the local area has been very good to work with. When we alert them that we have somebody in our facility that has a detainer, they have been Johnny on the spot, adhered to the rules, came and got them upon release, so it's worked well.
And so then the purpose of this agreement is what if it's working well?
That is the jail component.
Okay,
That is the jail component. This
Okay.
is in the field, on the streets, when you're dealing with people who may be suspected of having entered into our country illegally or have a detainer on them. Currently, as it sits today, if somebody has a detainer on them and we have no criminal charges, we have to call for ICE and wait. This will allow us to process them accordingly to the law, making sure that everything is done correctly.
so we are then taking on the law enforcement duties of
Absolutely.
federal agents?
Absolutely. And we do that today in many different task forces, whether it's through the FBI, Secret Service, and U.S. Marshals. We already do those things. It's the right thing to do. I believe that.
Well, I know you believe it. I know that. I knew you wouldn't be here if you didn't believe that. Dave, anything you wanna?
I mean, I think it's, in some ways, immigration is complex. It's a hot topic nationally now, but in some ways, I think it's fairly simple. In reality, from my point of view, that there's a couple of different components to it. Number one is birthright citizenship. You know, that's a valid public discussion about what does that actually mean. Another aspect of this is criminals, either hardcore criminals in the country they're fleeing, or someone that's committed a crime here. I think overwhelmingly, the public wants those people out of our country. If you came here, you're not a resident, you're breaking one of our laws outside of an immigration law, I would say 80% of the people want you deported. And that's pretty straightforward. Where it gets complex to some degree is this: they broke the law. There is a federal code regarding illegal entry into the country. That is a fact. It's not undocumented. They broke the law. There is a law about immigration. So there is a federal statute pertaining to immigration and the way you do it. Where it gets somewhat controversial is, do those people that interact then with law enforcement, should they be removed from the aspect of they broke the law and are here illegally, but yet they've got a job, they're paying taxes, they're doing this or that. And again, I think that's pretty straightforward. We really need an expanded guest worker program in this country, that I think that solves so many problems, that if we can track a package anywhere in the world within 10 yards of where it's at, we should be able to track a guest worker.
Sure.
Are
I
they
agree.
here, are they performing a job that Americans in many cases don't want or won't do? And then they're paying taxes, they're paying into retirement, and they know part of the deal is they're never gonna get Social Security. But they're fine with that. They're paying into the system. That benefits all of us. They're paying taxes. And then when they don't have a job anymore, they simply leave. That's the solution to a lot of this. But right now, it's into this world of, well, wait, they've been here a long time. They're gainfully employed. Are we really kicking them out of the country? And right now, the administration's response to that is yes, in many cases. That's not my decision. I take this role seriously, obviously, for 21 years, and I've always trusted the other elected officials that the people of Warren County have put into place. So this is your purview. You're the chief law enforcement officer of the county. You decide how law enforcement works inside of the county. And I think it's a reasonable request to say, I want to work and cooperate with the federal government on a particular set of laws. That's a very reasonable request from my standpoint. So I've got no problem with you entering into it. Again, it's another discussion of how aggressive or how do we want to be doing raids. You know, I tend to agree with my colleague. You know, if someone's here and do we stop someone just because we think they might be illegal? No, we shouldn't be doing that. We shouldn't be doing that. But if someone's here, they interact with law enforcement, they've broken the law, and all of a sudden they're an illegal alien, what do you do with them? Well, it's not our choice what to do with them. I think that's why you have a federal process to look at those issues. And again, you're coming saying, if anything, you want to be in potentially more active in that discussion with the federal government, and you want to have a seat at the table and know what's going on. And again, from what it sounds to me, your philosophical approach seems to be fairly centered with mine. That you know, again, there's a difference in people that come here illegally and quote unquote break the law, or they were a hardcore criminal in their own country, and now we know that. It should be gone, period. End of, you know, pass go and don't collect $200, you're gone. But it gets more complicated. They haven't broken the law, they're here, they're gainfully employed, you know, what have you. They've broken the law from the standpoint of a federal immigration law. But again, that's not what I was elected to discern, is that worthy of being immediately deported. But other people were elected based on that topic in large part. So from my standpoint, entering into an agreement with a lawful federal agency, you are the chief law enforcement officer, you're representing to us that you want to have a seat at the table and be informed and have a discussion, as opposed to them working autonomously without your knowledge, seems very reasonable to me.
That's exactly it. We deserve to be at the table when they come to our county.
So yeah, we don't have to, if my colleague doesn't want to do something right this second, we can certainly take this under advisement when there's a third party here, but I understand it.
Well, I'm inclined to support your request, based on the rationale that Commissioner Young made. Like, this is your purview. You're asking. There's obviously some legal reason that the contract has to be with us, so we do have something to say about it.
Yeah.
But notwithstanding that, you know, I'm inclined to support this because I support you, and I know you, and I trust you, and the people in this community trust you. And, you know, I just don't want anything to jeopardize that, given just, you know, I think the way Commissioner Young talked about it is like, Yeah, there are the obvious cases on either side, and then in the middle, there's all of this gray area and a lot of stuff that we don't have any control over. And so, you know, I want to maintain the reputation here in the community that we've all built together, and people
Absolutely.
long before us.
Mhm.
And so, you know, that's the heart with which I'm approaching it. And, you know, I am very concerned about, these cases where it's not somebody has broken the law. There has been a suggestion that somebody has broken the law, and they end up sitting in the jail for 72 days. Like, those are the things that, you know, are deeply concerning to me. And what I hear you saying is that
They're concerning
they
to me as well.
concern you too.
Absolutely.
And that, you know, it's your intention to play a part in those conversations to ensure that those types of things don't happen here in this community. So it's like, I mean, you know, I want to be supportive of this, but I hope you can appreciate the concerns that I have about this particular federal law enforcement
Sure.
agency right now, and the examples that we have in our own community that I just think are really concerning.
I do appreciate it, and it goes back to the motto that I gave to a local newspaper before I even took office, when they were interviewing, you know, elected
Mhm.
officials on what your stance are, and my motto has not changed, and I've already said it once, that I believe if you are in this country illegally, you should be sought out, detained, treated humanely, processed according to the law. And I will hold true to that from here on out. That's just the way I am. These people are my responsibility once we lay hands on them. And these people that I just gave you a snippet of who are sitting in our jail right now have some heavy, heavy charges. They are not the kind of clientele that we want roaming the streets, and until they get their criminal charges completed in our county, they become ICE's responsibility, and I will stick true to that as well.
Well, that I know, you know, I'm confident in that, and I mean, so I want you to just, know that I support you and
Thank
your
you.
request. But I also want you to know that, you know, this is obviously fraught with challenges that you
Absolutely.
willingly want to take on. But I hope that we can continue to dialogue about this.
I agree, and that's why we're 10 months, you know, short of me, or past me taking office. I've been working on this for 10 months, and I wasn't comfortable to push our agency in this direction until I had those hires on board, and we're now in that position to do and take on this challenge, and it's important for us in our
And
county.
so we have the ability, I heard you say, I just want to make sure I didn't misunderstand, that if
Yes,
there's things that you aren't comfortable with,
there's an out,
then we have the ability to.
absolutely.
Do you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I mean, it's, I'm hesitant to even say it, but it's true. I mean, I used to be partners in a temporary staffing company.
Yep.
And I can vividly remember one of our large food processing customers. And it was literally, it didn't matter what the pay rate was, quote unquote, Americans would not even apply for the job.
Yeah.
Literally, it was just a cultural thing. I'm not gonna work in this refrigerated, cold environment. Literally, it didn't matter what the pay rate was. They wouldn't do it, Americans, our brethren. But the Latin American community would. It was accepted, and you had to pay them a fair wage, but they would do it. If, for all my, you know, round everybody up and kick them all out, there's gonna be economic consequences to that if we really, really did that. Because there's a lot of folks here that, again, I'm not saying, oh, that they should just have a free hand and pay, or you know, with no consequences. They're here illegally. That's why I think we could solve this with a guest worker program right now. You know, document them, give them an ID card, pay the taxes. You haven't broken the law. You've been here working, paying taxes for 10 years. I'm not saying anything about citizenship. I'm just saying you're a guest worker.
Yeah.
You're here in the system, because if we literally take all of those folks that are here just to make money and send it back home, they're performing tasks, and I have firsthand knowledge of this, that Americans just won't do.
Yeah.
And I think there's real economic ramifications for that, which is why I would strongly encourage
Feds
both
to
parties.
solve this
Right,
problem.
both parties in DC,
Yeah.
instead of it being a political football, again, it's pretty clear to me. You know, there's only three aspects to it: birthright citizenship, and people that are felons break the law here, one of our own laws. Those two, and again, those are two things. One of them is a little more controversial, but people that have broken our laws, or that were hardcore criminals and then fled, I would say it's probably 80% of the country wants them gone. But it's the people that are here, yes, they broke the law. There is a federal statute saying, I forget what it is, I used to know that code. And there's a federal statute that says you're here illegally. So you did break our law, and there is a law and a process regarding what you're supposed to do with them. And again, you're a sworn law enforcement officer, which is why you say what you say. I'm just saying from an economic perspective, there has to be a way, there's such a simple way of solving this, and I really do think it's through a guest worker expansion. As long as you're gainfully employed, you're paying into our system, you're doing jobs that honestly a lot of Americans won't do, then there's an economic benefit to that. So again,
I hope they figure it out.
Well, and the frustration is when enforcement becomes the primary mode of dealing with immigration in this country.
Sure.
That should not be the primary mode of dealing with illegal immigration in this country. You know, the federal government has to come up with a strategy, a solution to the loose borders to prevent people who shouldn't be here from being here, while allowing those people that we want and need to be here. And so I just, you know, I don't like this expansion on the enforcement side, not because I don't want to enforce the laws, of course I do, and not because I want people here illegally, of course I don't. But the pressure has got to be put on the actual problem, which is this, you know, one that we can't solve here in Warren County. You know, I think Dave makes some great suggestions around things, but the feds have got to determine what our policy is to prevent this. It doesn't matter what the crime is, prevention is always the best course of action. And when we have to have
100%
enforcement,
agree
we
with
have
you.
to have enforcement, and that's where you come in. But enforcement shouldn't be our primary means of dealing with these leaking borders.
Yeah, and
Every time we integrate ourselves into prevention, we just do it enough to we're not the pros at it. You know, we have prevention specialists throughout this county, and some of the very best, and I totally agree with you. My job is enforcement.
yeah, and again, you from your standpoint, you don't selectively pick which laws you like and don't
No.
like.
I do not.
And again, praise the Lord that we now have an administration that has actually sealed a border that was literally just being flooded, that was exacerbating the problem. It was just making it worse by millions of people each year, each couple of years that were coming in that were now even more of a problem. So again, this is your job. We're here to support you, give you resources, doing things like that. The people of Warren County elected you, so it's not really my job to tell you which laws you should go and enforce or not enforce. Again, it's a very reasonable point to say, I enforce all the laws, period, whether I personally agree with them or not, but yet you want to be at the table when other law enforcement agencies are coming in here and operating inside of our county. You at least want to be part of the process, correct?
We deserve that. We absolutely deserve that as a county, to be at that table, to understand, to make the decisions, to be a part of any type of enforcement that takes place in this county, so we can either A, deconflict, and B, hold each other accountable. You are absolutely correct. I'm not a showboat. I don't advertise in the media. Our friend from the media yesterday questioned me on that, and I prefer to be the quiet professional that just handles business, and that's what I'm gonna do.
Fair enough. So do we need a resolution?
We have a resolution entering into a memorandum of agreement with United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement on behalf of the Warren County Sheriff's Office.
So moved.
Second, roll call?
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Great, thank you, good
Thanks,
discussion.
Thanks, Sheriff. Good seeing you.
Before I take a motion to go into executive session, I'll just ask if there's anybody here who wishes to address the board. Can you just please come forward and state your name and address for the record?
Thank you. My name is Mike Cunningham, and I live at 5261 Fisher Road in the great city of Clarksville, Ohio.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm the owner of Midwest Audiovisual. I've been in the AV industry for about 35 years now. We do work for Turner, Skanska, Messer, all the big guys, as well as anyone else who wants to work with us. We've bid hundreds of jobs over the years, and we win some, probably lose most. That's the bid game. In the third quarter of 2024, Joseph Newton of Warren County Telecom called me out to take a look at your emergency operations center and provide a number to update the AV system there, which we did. And later in the year, I was told it was awarded to another vendor. No problem, we don't win them all. Early in 2025, Joseph reached out again and said, hey, we had to pull that award, and we're gonna rebid this project. Are you interested? Yeah, I'm a Warren County business, I'm interested. So in July of this year, Joseph reached out again, said, hey, got some bid documents I want you to take a look at. I need a number from you. And we took a look at those bid documents. We provided a number for Joseph. On July 31st, the numbers were opened. Midwest bid $87,113 for the job. The second company bid $155,500 for the job. I think that's about an 80% up, difference. So I assume that we will be awarded the job. So about once a month, I call Joseph, say, hey, let's get together, let's get this party started. Last week I was called by Joseph, got on the phone with him. He explained that, hey, finally he can reach out to me. Finally we can move forward with this project. But we've decided to award the project to the other vendor. Okay? Why would you award the project to another vendor? He says, well, yeah, we looked at all the bids, and you didn't include a network plan on your bid. I said, Joseph, a network plan is something that you provide afterwards, after you have a post-bid conversation with the owner. I said, we don't know what your network scheme is, what your topography is. How can we provide a network plan to a network that we're not privy to the insides of? And he said, hey, we just made this decision, and I'm sorry, but you guys aren't getting the deal. And I said, I could sense something in his voice, shakiness, sounded like fear. It was very emotional. He was very emotional. And I said, Joseph, this sounds fishy. I said, I got to investigate this. This is very disturbing as a Warren County resident. This just doesn't sound right. So I'm here to ask, to protest the award of this contract to Tech Connect. That's a lot of difference in money. It's almost $70,000 for the exact same product, installed the exact same way. And frankly, if the county has $155,000 to spend, we can do something really nice. You know, something impressive, not what the bid process was. And I'm not gonna go into the products or anything like that, because everybody has their opinions. But I just wanna say that I'm a business in Warren County. I bid this project. This is the first time in 35 years I've even done something like this, because this is egregious. And then when you couple that with the sound of his voice and the reasons why he said he didn't award Midwest Audiovisual the job, I had to change my schedule and come here and speak to you today.
Well, number one, thanks for coming. It might be your first time in 35 years. It's my first time in 21 years to have someone come in and really, Bruce, we've had people question awards of bids, I guess, before, but generally we look at lowest and best and then also qualifications. And if our people are calling you and you've been doing it 35 years, clearly you're qualified. So I think it warrants a work session with our telecom folks to go over this bid, because honestly, I don't even know who this person is.
Okay.
Bruce, what is the process there? I mean, is there like an advisory committee? Who will work? Because we sign all the contracts, but I know nothing about this.
I don't know if this was, how this was done, RFP, so we need to investigate and
Yeah.
find out and bring it back to you.
Can you let us just do a little due diligence on our end?
Absolutely.
And the administration will get back, and then if we need to do a work session, we can get that scheduled. But since we nor our council is aware of it, let us just kind of look into it a little bit.
Okay.
And I want to make sure we have do you have a business card that
Absolutely.
we can
We have
take?
we have your contact information.
Yeah, Crystal's got it.
Okay,
Excellent.
terrific,
Excellent.
great. Thank you for taking the time for being here, and we'll get back with you.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Great, you're welcome. Have a good day.
How's business?
It's excellent. Business is rocking. Yeah, I just need more people. You talk about people that don't want to work. We're looking for people with character and work ethic. And yeah, we could really blow up if we could find those.
Good for you.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, seeing that there's no one else who wishes to address the board, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session to conference with our attorney concerning a dispute subject to pending or imminent court action pursuant to ORC 121.22G3 and matters required to be kept confidential by state statutes pursuant to ORC 121.22G5.
Second, roll call please.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes,
Mr. Young?
Yes.
thank you.